Welcome to Barber Motorsports Park and coverage of the Ford Mustang Cup Series. We are here with the Miles Cup race to kick off an awesome weekend of racing. My name is Joey Atterbury, and joining me in the booth is series manager Sean Sermony. We've already got the cars out on the racetrack. Can't wait to get this thing going.
Well, I tell you, this is going to be amazing. This is the first time any of the one-make Ford racing series have ever been here to this beautiful circuit called Barber Motorsports Park. Very, very excited about that. And I'll tell you right now, this is going to be 2.30 miles and 17 turns of not just an actual roller coaster of elevation, but on top of it, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster because it's going to get real physical in these cars, folks. So as they take off down the start stretch, they go kind of downhill in the turn number one, immediately right back up around 2, 3, and 4. And then you'll see them as they start heading into Charlotte's Web. Before they get there, the car's going to get kind of light, heading down that infield straightaway, going down in around Charlotte's Web. Right there, the car gets nice and heavy, coming around there, and then once again lightens up real quick as they come over the knoll down into turn 8, 8, and 9. They're going to cut over the curb right there. Around by Museum Corner, it gets pretty physical, almost a little violent, if you will, right there through the car. That's where you're going to be banging up the elbow on the outside and the inside of the door jamb and all that right there. Down the back stretch into turn 13, gets really funky right there and brings you all the way around that big sweeping 180-degree turn into 17. It's ups and downs. It's all over. It's physical. It's mental. It's going to be a long 45 minutes plus one lap, Joey.
It is going to be an amazing race, and I'll go ahead and talk you through our starting grid. We are on the second of the 2 pace laps right now, but your pole sitter is going to be the number 86 car. That is Logan Adams. Starting next to him is going to be the pole sitter in the Legends class. That's Craig Capaldi. We do have the 2 different classes out here in the Mustang Cup. In third overall is going to be Steve Luca with Michael Levitas joining him on that row starting in 4th place. Kale Buell going to be rolling off from 5th with McFarland back here in 6th. David Luacy's in 7th place with Nick Smither in 8th. Miller Richmond in 9th, and Andrew Hordes rounding out our top 10. And then we've got 2 more cars. Number 65 of Elliott is going to be starting in 11th place, and then we also have Denton back here, the number 16 car, rounding out our 12 car Mustang Cup USA field of Dark Horse R race cars. Sean, V8s, Barber, it's going to be a fun time.
It's big, loud American horsepower here at Barber. And the thing is with this track, it's 2.3 miles long, but it's all tight. It's all close together here. You're hearing this American horsepower thundering around the track here as they bunch them up and get ready to go here. That's going to hop on board with Levitas right now in the number 36. That is Michael as they're getting ready to take the green flag momentarily. You want to keep an eye on also a little farther back in the pack. You're going to want to be looking at the Leaf Johnson Ford Racing entry there as well. If Kale Buell, can he make it up through the pack and make a battle out of it with Logan Adams, who's starting up front. So coming down the front stretch right now, we're waiting on the starter. They're bunched up. They're good and tight. The green flag flies here at Barber Motorsports Park. It's Ford Mustang Cup USA barreling down into turn number 1.
Logan Adams got a terrific jump from that pole position, and he leads the field up and over into turn number 2 right now. I did notice it was side by side for second place between Craig Capaldi and Steve Luca, and now it's going to be side by side for what is third place. The run up towards turn number 5, our first big break zone. You see him fanning out. There's the number 8 of Kale Buell taking a look down the inside.
So far, everyone playing nice, calm, cool, collected, getting through the first half of that beginning of the lap. Right now, one car steps out. Buell makes a move. Leaf Johnson Ford is moving to the front. He's watching the leader, Logan Adams. He knows he's fast, but he knows Buell says, I have the speed. I just have a couple guys in front of me. I can't let them get away. It's time to get aggressive. That young man cannot get caught sleeping one time in this race. He's got to get out front quickly in order to bat him with Logan.
And I think it was Kale Buell overtaking Michael Levitas down there at the exit of what was turn number 5, able to put that 500-plus horsepower V8 down to the ground, accelerate his way out. But the top 4 still remains Logan Adams, Craig Capaldi, Steve Luca, and now Kale Buell as we reach the backside of the racetrack. This is really where the drivers have their work cut out for them. Oh, a little bit wide over the tunnel turn. I believe that was Levitas once again taking advantage of.
Levitas having a little bit of struggle here in lap number 1. He's going to have to just mellow out. It's been a while since he's been in the car until a few weeks ago in Sebring. Had not been racing a whole lot. But right now, looking at Luisi's. Luisi's moving up as well in the number 37. That's the Barber Motorsports entry. He's looking good, looking comfortable. Had a great talk with him yesterday. He's loving the track as well. Meanwhile, we're still looking at Kale Buell in that Leaf Johnson Ford vehicle, trying to make his way up. The problem is he has 2 competitors not racing with him by class. That is Luca and Capaldi. Both of those competitors very fast. He's got to catch them in order to catch up to the leaders, and then he's got to get around them. And right now, as they go down around that heavy 180-degree turn on the infield, he's got his work set up for him. He got past Levitas pretty quickly. I don't think it's going to be as easy to catch our leaders, never mind get around them.
This is going to be an interesting unfolding of the race here, especially for that number 24 of Steve Luca. Now, this is race number 2 of the championship. They kicked it off at Sebring a few weeks ago. However, this Miles Cup race was a little bit of a shortened, abbreviated race, right? We had some lightning in the area, so we did go green, but it was checkered flag pretty quickly, and I know that Steve Luca really didn't get to show what he was made out of. He's looking to make a name for himself here today. He's actually already putting the pressure heavy on Craig Capaldi, what I saw down there at turn number 11.
Well, that's the thing. I was out of everyone a few weeks ago due to the lightning issue. He was the one that was the most upset, and with good reason. He's got the talent. He showed us he's got the speed. He has not had an opportunity to show us if he can go a full 45 minutes plus 1 lap and hold to that pace. We're going to find out today, as right now out in front is the number 86. Behind him, it is the 68 and Luca in P3. Luca putting big pressure on Capaldi. That pressure is not released at all as they go up into turns 3, around down into 4.
Going to be looking towards turn number 5 to potentially use a little bit of slipstream as long as he's close enough through this section, but Craig Capaldi crucially puts him at a stiff arm length distance by the time they get down to that break zone of turn number 5, so no threat behind this time. Another little battle that we've got, that's the number 21 car. That's McFarland taking a look down the inside of Nick Smither, but Nick Smither late on the brakes, hangs on to the spot.
You know, McFarland, another young competitor, very young, super talented out of Canada, one of our friends from the Great White North, had some trouble also in Sebring. Now his goal is, well, he was told his goal is to see a checkered flag in every session this weekend. That's the goal, right? That's what mom and dad and the team say. But then a young man like that with that kind of talent, that much speed, that much ability, when you put the helmet on, maybe you're not listening to mom and dad as much.
What's it called? The red mist, I believe is what it's called?
The red mist. So he is definitely going to be putting the pressure on it as he's right on the back of Smither as they go in down through this corkscrew. Both of them just feather the brake a little bit. Then Nick Smither told me this morning, then they're wide open through this section right there. Back heavy on the gas. Great battle. Nick Smither, not an easy man to get by. He drives a wide car. He knows what he's doing.
He is well versed in lots of forms of motorsports. Of course, also races in that Mustang Challenge, the next step up after this Mustang Cup USA, and was also one of the drivers that took that Le Mans Invitational over to France last year, got to race the Dark Horse R in front of the Le Mans 24-hour crowd. What an experience that must have been, but he is still holding on barely right now over Chase McFarland in that 21. Nothing has changed up front. Logan Adams still leads the way. If anything, Steve Luca has actually inched his way back closer to Craig Capaldi this lap.
Well, I think it's interesting. There's two things in my mind what's going on with our top 3, especially with Capaldi. Right now, Capaldi, he's been one of the driver coaches, one of the ones helping out our leader, trying to get that young man more and more up to speed. Well, I think he did a wonderful job. He's obviously a good coach. Both the Capaldi team, they're excellent at that. So he's worked him up and good. Now he's thinking, well, now this kid I've been helping coach is going to walk away from me. I can't let that happen. And then Steve Luca behind him. Steve's going to push and push and push. So right now, Capaldi is the me and a go-fast sandwich. He wants to chase down the kid he's been helped train. He wants to stay in front of Luca. Luca, we know Luca's got big fire, man. He's got big fire. He didn't get to show what he has in Sebring. This is his first time in this series, in these Dark Horse R cars, to showcase to the world what he's capable of doing. And right now, he's going to push Capaldi until he lets everybody know just what he's capable of.
It's a pretty fun race we got going on right now. We kind of have 3 pairs of battles going on. One for the second place overall position, and that really is the lead in the Legends class. We've been talking about it between Craig Capaldi and Steve Luca. But also the number 37 versus the 36 out on the racetrack, Michael Levitas. Remember, we mentioned his name a couple times in that opening lap, maybe kind of getting muscled out of the way. Well, he has settled into a rhythm, found his pace, and now he is starting to put the pressure on the back end of that number 37, that bright green machine of Luaces.
Yeah, that's a great race right there especially between those two teams, the Luaces and the bright green machine. Easy for me to say in that Pally Motorsports. But then TPC, we've seen them do a lot of different forms of sports car racing and still do. As far as customer racing goes, they're an excellent team, from Porsches to Lambos and all of that. Now getting on the bandwagon with Ford here and just loving it, saying it's the most fun they've had racing in a very long time. But they're somewhat new to the cars as far as being on track with Michael. But Michael is someone who's been around a very, very long time. But I think we're going to see a great race. And I think those two, they're 2 grown men. I think to a certain extent they can trust each other to lean on each other a little bit here and there. They're not 2 guys that are going to take each other out. And if something like that happens, it's strictly a racing accident. They're going to be gentlemen with one another, I think.
We hope.
Yeah.
Right? That's always what we hope.
Right now, I just said it. And Michael Levitas goes to the inside. I don't know what happened. Big contact.
Yeah, we got it right here on our screen between the 37 as well as the 36. A major incident down there in that turn number 11-12 complex. And it looks like Michael Levitas is stuck in the gravel. We see Luaces here with a stranded car. I shouldn't say a stranded car, but a little bit of a wounded car trying to make it back to pit road. But I do not see how Michael Levitas is going to be able to get it out of the gravel. We have a local yellow in that sector, probably just waiting for a full course yellow.
Yeah, we're going to go full course. I just happened to look up the window and see that all go down. That was a pretty wild ride. And I'm speculating. I'm hundreds and hundreds of yards away from where this happened, is where Joey and I are. But it seemed as though, I don't know if maybe it seemed like there was room for Michael Levitas to get in there, but then that door kind of got shut a little bit by Luaces, or if Levitas tried to stuff it here, but Levitas was in the back, coming up on him. And we're going full course yellow now, which makes sense that they're going to have some cleaning up to do and to get some cars moved off the track. But that looked like a pretty wild one. As we're trying to figure out just exactly what's going on. We're doing our homework here and waiting on race control. So it looks as though going down to the inside, they're in 4th gear, pretty much wide open. Levitas thought he had the room. He kind of did. I think Luaces didn't know he was right there. It's hard to say exactly. Kind of came over in the line. I'm going to say as of right now, and we are not race control. Joey and I, we're just 2 guys up here with microphones, right? So let's just call it what it is. But that is going to be a job for our team, Morgan Healy and everyone in race control, to go over on this one and say, was that just a racing incident or what happened? But that was a hard hit.
And, after looking at it on my screen a couple times, I'm with you. He was presented up alongside of things, and we're not going to beat a dead horse while we're under this full course yellow flag out here. But there was a racing incident out there on the racetrack.
Certainly.
And my one comment is going into turn number 11 down there, not a very big brake zone.
No.
So you really have to be up alongside somebody by the time you get to that brake zone.
Yep.
If you're trying to execute it.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I think you're barely feathering the brake right there, if anything. Maybe even call it chopping the throttle a little,
yes.
And just getting right back on the gas
well,
again.
And it also kind of feeds into, we were talking about Michael and the first couple laps there. He did kind of get muscled out of the way. And as a driver, you're trying to regain that track position. You're trying to reinstate that authority of, hey, I am faster, I do deserve this spot, and sometimes patience doesn't win out.
Yeah, absolutely, and I understand it. I get it. Anyone who has raced, we all understand that, sometimes patience it's a difficult thing to have out on course, especially when you have a race that starts off where you lose a couple of spots so quickly. Obviously you're not expecting that. You're expecting it to be the opposite. That's what's in your mindset, and then all of a sudden you find yourself more wound up than you'd like to be, and then it's hard to calm down from there. It is, if you're in the car and you got the helmet on, it's not easy to go woosah, woosah, and really and just relax a little bit. You just want to go, and that's what happens. And then it turned into no, as the two of them collided pretty heavy right there. But once again, I'm just speculating, but it looked the way they were. I believe everyone's safe. There's no harm done physically to anyone other than to the cars, so that's a wonderful thing. But that was a pretty big hit in between those two competitors, and that was the Wacy's and the Pally Motorsports car in TPC. As TPC and Michael Levisis is stuck down there in the marbles. He went in there all kinds of sideways, and it looks like he's out of the car.
Yeah, it looks like he is, and you can see the skid marks going down into the gravel. You can just kind of see the natural trajectory of how that wreck happened. But while we're under full course yellow, the track workers will get this cleaned up. We'll get everything back going green flag as soon as possible. But it gives us a little bit of time to talk about the Mustang Cup Series and some of the uniqueness that we have here, because this is the Miles Cup race. We do have another race going on tomorrow.
We do.
But it's a completely separate championship. That's going to be the Parnelli Cup race. So
Yes.
It's two different championships, although we do see a lot of the same drivers in the same cars. There are some differences.
There certainly are, and I'm hoping that we see another driver in that TPC car tomorrow, because that is a father-son team in the TPC racing, with Michael Levitis driving it today. Tomorrow is to be Harris Levitis driving it. Both wonderful people, just some of the happiest people at the track, and they're one of the couple teams that split the driving duties, and one of them with Michael Levitis racing for the points, as Steve Luca does in the Miles Cup, and he'll be doing that all year. And Steve Luca's out there right now doing an excellent job and showing the world what he is capable of, and it's been quite impressive so far. And then tomorrow, for that TPC team, then it would be Harris, and hopefully they'll get that car back together. And Harris will be in there for the Parnelli Cup as of Parnelli Jones, the man, the myth, the legend of all forms of motorsports, so named after him, and that'll be happening tomorrow. And then that's when Steve Luca will hand over the drivers to his teammate, the keys to the car to his teammate, and that'll be happening tomorrow. So really cool stuff as far as that goes. And then we also have the Denton brothers. And so today is Steve Denton, and Steve and his brother, they are racing under the Capaldi racing team, and they are racing just a few stops this year for 2026 for the Mustang Cup USA Series. They're here obviously with us in Barber. We'll see them at VIR, meaning Virginia International Raceway, and we'll see them again at Road Atlanta. So they've picked 3 of their favorite tracks to do it. So it's pretty cool to be able to have one car, 2 drivers, sort of split the bill and go racing together and have fun. Then it gets less cool when the guy you're splitting it with wads her up and parks her in the marbles, but that's racing.
It is racing, and thankfully this is a father-son combo, like you had said. So maybe a little bit more of a gentle conversation once it gets back to the paddock. But I don't know. It may not be. It might be the other way around, where it's even more harsh.
I'm not sure if I do or do not want to be a fly on the wall for that one.
Yeah. But so we have the Miles Cup Championship. We've got the Parnelli Cup Championship. And then we also have a few classes here within the Mustang Cup USA. Right now, Logan Adams, our overall leader, is in that Dark Horse class. But we also have the Dark Horse Legends class, which is basically an age class. And then not out on the racetrack right now, but we also have the Classic class that was introduced here in 2026.
Yeah, with the Classics, it's very cool. In the Classics, there's so many Ford cars over the years that have made, they're just incredible. And you've had a lot of experience in some of these cars, Joey, that are just, right now, there are not as many places to race them as there was years ago, right?
The FR 500s, the 302Rs, the Boss cars, lots of them.
Lots of cars that are nasty race cars, man, and they need a place to continue to be showcased and a place to go racing, and a lot of drivers and competitors that are looking for that. So for 2026 this year, we've launched that. We had some classic competitors, but now we had none this weekend in Barber, but coming up at Circuit of the Americas, which you all know as COTA, in Austin, Texas, coming up here for our next stop. We're looking to have a good handful of classic cars down there as well. So also we'll be working to market that in conjunction with Mustang Week, which will be happening in Galveston, Texas, coming up here in just a couple of weeks, as we will be down there as well with the Capaldi race team and others, and Leaf Johnson Ford as well. helping us out with that. And Mustang Week is an amazing program that they do 2 stops a year, one in Galveston, one in Charlotte, maybe 3 or 4 as the future rolls on. And with over 10,000 Mustang cars on site and over 40,000 people through the gates in 4 days. And so we're going to be using that to bring in some more classics and grow that. So friends, family, people out there in TV land across the globe, if you've got one of these cars or something like that, it is a much more inexpensive way to go racing at some of America's most premier circuits in a professional series that is run professionally, that's done safely and done correctly, and an opportunity for you to come out there and run that car.
Well, and I think it was kind of proven back at Sebring with Paolo Salvatore coming out and racing, right? He brought a quote-unquote classic car, and now we keep saying classic, but it's the class. It's not Mustangs from the 1960s, right, 1970s, exactly. 1980s, right? It is more modern cars that you might have seen race prior in IMSA, race prior in Grand Am, World Challenge, stuff like that. So there's lots of these cars that were made and built by Ford, Multimatic, that are essentially FIA classified cars, right? And then now this Mustang Cup gives them an avenue to come out there and race. So Paolo brought out one of his more recent cars, right? It's not an old car, but it is a classic classed car. And it was pretty fun to watch that car mix it up with the Dark Horse R's because it made speed in a different area, but overall lap time very, very similar.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are, when we say classic, these are proper race cars. I mean, this is what they're built to do. These are not grocery getters. And to see Paolo out there, and I think you said it perfectly, is that it made speed in different areas. It was very interesting to watch. And we also had done a test because, all these vehicles out here are all getting the power of the ground with a Yokohama tire. And it works so well, just as it does in some of the other series that we've worked with in road racing here. Both for road racing, and I'm very, very involved around the globe with off-road and things like that. And Yokohama is at the forefront of technology and tire ability for what they can do and what they can take. And so we did a little something different. We were in Sebring with Paolo, and we ran one day on slicks, and another day he ran a DOT tire. Very competitive on both. The day that it was raining out and the track was wet, and we ended up canceling and shutting it down early with the red flag due to lightning, he went out with his radials. And if it was to start early, open up and raining, we didn't get the lightning, I may have had to put my money on him for the whole thing overall with those radial tires.
I don't doubt it, because as soon as you start putting tread on the tires, just the ability to channel the water out. And I know that we are talking about Sebring a few weeks ago, not out here at Alabama at Barber Motorsports Park, but when it rained out there, it rained.
It rained, and I think that tire would have worked wonderfully for him. But all in all, folks, so that's a little bit about the Ford Mustang Cup USA. And, of course, our superstar of the series is the Dark Horse R, and it should be, because it's just an incredible race vehicle. But we do offer other classes as well with the Mustang Classics. And then, of course, we have done by age group with our Dark Horse R and our Dark Horse Legends. Same car, same everything, just broken down by the age of the driver. So, folks, right now, this is a 45-minute plus one lap, but we had a pretty wild caution. And so we are 20 minutes and 12 seconds left to go, plus one lap. And I'll just explain real quickly that one lap when the leader comes over the start-finish line. If there is any time whatsoever, even if it's just a tenth of a second left on the clock, it'll be 2 laps to go. We got to run the clock out, run it to 0. And then the next time by the start-finish line, the leader will receive the white flag. And, of course, we all know in the racing world the white flag is one more lap to go, as they're still continuing to clean up a little bit of the mess here.
I think we should be getting lights out probably this time. I do see that they have cleaned up the car down there at the turn number 11 complex. So they have officially gotten it onto the flatbed and gotten the racetrack cleared up. We'll just be patiently waiting to see if the lights go out on our Dark Horse R safety car. And then we should be getting going back racing here soon enough. But Sean, always so good to have you here in the booth, especially as a series manager. You provide so much more information to us from the competitors, from the cars, and we keep talking about these different classes between the Classics, the Legends, the Dark Horse, the different types of championship, but this is also all part of the Ford Pyramid system, if you will.
Certainly is.
You know, these drivers, they have so much more to look forward to even after this as we finally get the lights out.
It absolutely is. You know, as far as the Ford Racing Pyramid goes, which is a wonderful program, especially in their one-make racing program and things. But it starts off with your club level racing, which is wonderful all over the United States and your club level, and then you get into your first level of professional racing, and that's what Mustang Cup is all about. And so it's a big jump to go from club level and things of that nature to come race with us. But it's a much bigger jump if you move into Mustang Challenge, which is people that have a lot more seat time. I'm not saying that they have more ability, but they have honed their skills to the point where they are putting down faster lap times. They understand how to get around the track and some of these circuits a little bit better. They've got more seat time, but and then it moves up from there. So the Ford Pyramid, it's very impressive what they do, and it's all about growing the sport, breeding young and old talent to become better, to move on up. If you're lucky, you can get some Ford support and travel the world doing different things, as some of our competitors have from last year and things with our champion from last year. But all in all, it's a pretty impressive program that Ford puts together here, and I couldn't be happier to be right on board and be a leader in one of their one-make series.
Well, the pace car is in. That leaves the field to Logan Adams. We've already got a green flag. He took advantage on that restart, got a huge jump. It's still Craig Capaldi, Steve Luca, second and third overall, the leaders in that Legends class, followed up with Kale Buell in that number 8 car running fourth. I'm really looking towards this battle between Steve Luca and Craig Capaldi. It kind of left us hanging on the edge of our seat when we got that full course yellow.
It absolutely was, and I think in one of the battles we want to look at further back in the pack a little bit here. So right now we've got Logan Adams, right? He's in P1. Buell trying to put some pressure around the outside right now. Leaf Johnson Ford getting the power to the ground. Can he make it happen? Can he get around Steve Luca? Side by side. Going into turn 8. It's going to get rough and rugged as they go into 8 right now. They're going to go over that curb. Buell not having to go over the curb. He ended up putting himself to the inside. Is he able to make a stick? Kale Buell wants to go to the front of the pack. He says, hey, Logan Adams, I got your number. I'm coming for you.
I like that move from Kale Buell, just perfecting that racecraft, and that's a really big frustration for Steve Luca because now that separates himself from Craig Capaldi. Yes, he wants to go battling for the overall lead and the overall win. However, Kale Buell is in a completely different class, so now Steve Luca has to kind of set his sights right again, and with only 16 minutes left, this is going to be an abbreviated race for them.
If anything, they need to work together to move up so that Kale, if anything, maybe Kale can get around Capaldi and have his own race for the lead, and then those two gentlemen have their race. But they're going to, if they fight each other right now, it's going to slow them down. The leader's going to be gone.
Well, and how much incentive does Kale have to let Steve Luca back by, knowing that Craig Capaldi has really been helping Kale out? So if anything, Steve Luca's got a roadblock in front of him right
absolutely.
now.
So I think he's got to work with him and help. Maybe, I don't know how he would do it, but he's got to hope that Kale gets around Capaldi. And then they can have their own 2 races as far as by class. And I'm not saying it because of that, but for Luca, that would be what's best. That he helps push Kale up there, get Kale around Capaldi, and let Kale go, maybe try to chase on the leader if he's got the speed, and then have his own race with Capaldi. I'm saying a lot, right? But once again, I'm the guy up here in the booth, but that would be what makes sense. Right now, though, I was talking earlier, so we were spread out a little bit. We have our dark horse competitors and our dark horse legends. So we have a dark horse leader. He's out front, Logan Adams. The second place in that is in P3. That's Kale Buell, who's hoping to get to the leader. And then we get to McFarland. But, right now I've just noticed just in that last lap, McFarland got around Richmond and Smither. Because we did see a good race going with Andrew Hordes and McFarland that were in class. But in that last lap alone, it was 2 passes made. McFarland is making his way up. He's now the 5th overall in 3rd in class. So kudos to him.
Nice moves being made on that restart, and I think that that kind of puts into a magnifying glass the pass that Kale Buell made that we covered there, because now if he had not made that pass, he would have a dark horse competitor right on the bumper. I was going to mention another driver. He's kind of got his own little piece of racetrack right now, is Nick Smither, but that's because this restart has kind of breathed new life into that race of his. And now he's sitting up there in the 6th place overall. I see him 3rd place in that Legends class. I think the only frustrating part right now is that we've got Dark Horse Legends, Dark Horse Legends, Dark Horse Legends. So it kind of goes flip-flopping back and forth. And for all of you that are watching, the easiest way to identify is that timing and scoring board. The red highlighted numbers, that's the Dark Horse class. The blue highlighted numbers, that's our Legends class.
As you see right now, they're getting a little bit spread out after that restart. They spread out pretty quickly. I think some of the competitors may have been a little happy with that caution because it helped bunch them up and gave them a little breathing room, because this is a very physical track. These guys are really up on the wheel the whole time around this course. There's never really much time to relax here. And so these guys, I think, were pretty happy about that. But right now, our top 3 spread out pretty good. 4th and 5th are starting to have a decent battle right there. Smithers may be able to pull into that battle as well, but 1, 2, and 3 fairly spread out.
Last lap time from our overall leader was the fastest car on the racetrack with a 134.4. I'll be curious to see if everybody kind of settles into the rhythm that they've got, or if they will continue to try to battle it out on the racetrack. This time by Logan Adams ups the ante. A 134.0 extends that gap over Craig Capaldi to now over 3 seconds. If anything, the closest battle on the racetrack is definitely Chase McFarland in that 21, with Nick Smither starting to hunt him down. I say that because McFarland's last lap time, a 138.6. Nick Smither, a 137.2.
And I'm curious what's going on with Luca. Dropping back considerably. We just saw him going by slowly.
And he is in pit lane. I have just heard that the 24 is in pit lane. I see him right now getting the crew member in the window. I don't see any urgency going on with the car, but this has got to be heartbreak for 2 rounds in a row for Steve.
Well, you know, here's the thing. Let's talk about Steve's 2 weeks here. Race number 1, when he had an opportunity to do that in the Miles Cup in Sebring, shut down by lightning only 3 laps in. So then he doesn't get a chance to get back in the car again. Then he comes out this weekend, puts down some great laps. He has been nothing but on top of his game every time he's in the car. However, that car is not driven by only him, and that car has been in 2 accidents this weekend. And so, you know, what comes that you can fix everything the best you can, but then when it's your time to get out and get in the car, did everything get properly taken care of? Is it something you can get through the whole weekend without a problem? And, you know, maybe they're like, yes, it is. No, it isn't. So, and once again, you know, maybe that's not what the problem is. But I do know it has been an emotional roller coaster for that team. And they work very, very hard day and night. And his lap time show and his performance, Steve Luca can drive that race car. He really can.
And it will come around. We've seen him put it into actual performance that has been proven on the racetrack here today, running up inside the top 3. And I also wonder if that number 8 car was able to get by because there was an issue going on with the number 24, at least at the time that Steve Luca was trying to diagnose down there. But either way, the 24 has officially been on pit road for over a lap now. That is pretty much going to be the end of the race in terms of competitiveness for the number 24 as we approach 10 minutes remaining. So what was a 40-minute plus 1 lap race gets quickly shortened with that little abbreviated full course yellow, and now we're just looking at a short 10-minute sprint to the checkered flag.
Yeah, with not much time at all, with our leading lap times around that 134 mark or so. So we only got a few laps left to go. As still out in front, Logan Adams looking really good. Capaldi right behind him. These guys having a battle royale, but the difference in times right now, as was just getting pointed out from Joey to me, Joey, from Capaldi in 2nd place to Kale Buell in 3rd is what?
2/100ths of a second was the difference on that lap time. Do you think that Craig is doing a good job coaching Kale? Because they look identical out there.
Absolutely are. I think, you know, and right now, I would have to think that Craig is elbow deep in his bag of tricks.
Well, he probably is, because he sees that number 8 coming up in that rear view mirror, this time by Kale Buell, a 34.5. Craig Capaldi, the teacher in front, a 35.1. Half a second difference.
Absolutely, that's so impressive. And, and I've said this before, and I have a feeling I'll be saying it again, but, the Capaldi team, from start to finish, whether it's, prepping cars or driver coaching or getting a vehicle or a driver up on a podium or working with any other team that's out there, they're so good. They're so good, and it shows because when you have a new driver that's only been doing this now in his second year, now chasing down the coach, and then you have another driver who's in his first year of racing a car like this, has only done some open wheel racing and karting, leaving the coach. I think it's fair to say they're doing a good job.
They're doing an excellent job, and honestly, I don't expect anything else out of Leo Capaldi and that entire Capaldi racing operation. Of course, we've been talking about Craig Capaldi out there driving the 68. Also have Chris Capaldi helping out with the team up there. Sandy is always up there traveling with the team as well. So it really is a giant family effort up there with Capaldi Racing, and they always do a top-notch job. But 8 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. I'm still trying to prop up this number 8 car because he continues to be faster than Craig Capaldi directly in front of him. Does he have enough time to go up there, catch him, and actually make the pass? Because that's one thing that Kale Buell has really been working on, not only getting faster, he's finally fast out there, not that he wasn't before, but he also has the racecraft now to back it up. We were talking about that pass with Steve Luca. How often do you see a pass around the outside of turn number 5? And Kale has the confidence now to go ahead and do that.
And I don't feel like he was forcing that. No, he was just doing a good job, and like you said, that racecraft, and I've been lucky enough to hear Chris Capaldi a couple times talking to some of his drivers as I'm just kind of listening in and learning, and the way he talks to them when they get out of the car about, okay, so this is how that happened. I saw what you did. You have that tool now. That's a new tool for you. Remember that. You're not going to always need it, but you have that in your bag. And to listen to the way they talk to each other and the way Chris talks to the drivers and the kids and stuff, and so that's a tool that he now knows he has, and he used it. He didn't force it. He was smart about it. And at the same time, as they were going down that straightaway, that's a young kid racing against a grown man going in there, and that young kid kept his elbows up and said, hey, listen, we just battled for the last almost quarter mile. I feel like I'm confident enough and good enough to be where I am right now, and I'm not going to let you go.
Do you think Craig considers himself that old, though?
Well,
knowing Craig,
if you heard what he said to me the other day, which I won't repeat, he's ultimately
he's a kid at heart.
Yeah, he's a kid at heart, but ultimately it's a matter of let me put it this way: he was just saying this is a lot of track for him at this age. Let's put it that way.
Well, not only is Craig coaching, Kale Buell, as well as a lot of the others underneath the tent at Capaldi Racing, he's also got his kids. Carmine, is going to be coming up through some ranks. I know that he's getting into some cars out there as well. So that Capaldi Racing family, it is not just one generation. It's not just 2 generations. It's 3 generations. And right now, Kale Buell right on the back bumper of Craig Capaldi, looking down to the inside of turn number 5. He's got him clear. Move Kale Buell and the Leaf Johnson Ford up into 2nd overall.
Step aside, Master. The grasshopper is coming through. It's basically what just went down right there. That was impressive. And Capaldi saying, hey, okay, I'm going to give you the space. I see, you're coming, no matter what. That's happening right now, right? I'm going to give you the space, and that's wonderful right there, the way they worked that out. But, there's a new master in town. That was pretty impressive. And I was thinking a few laps ago, Joey, is that for a track like this, it is so physical. Now, you've got someone like Craig, who's older, who's stronger, who's been doing this a long time, the upper body strength, all that, it's there, right? It's almost like muscle memory for him. And then you have a younger guy like Buell, who's in the car that physically is not as strong as Craig is and things like that, and maybe doesn't have the muscle memory like Craig does, hasn't been doing it as long, but he's young. He's got the endurance. I'm not sure, but what's better on a track like this? Maybe you don't have the endurance, but you're just strong and you've been doing it a long time versus I haven't been doing it as long. I'm not as strong, but I'm just young and I don't really get tired.
At the beginning of the weekend, I want the experience.
Sure.
At the end of the weekend, I want the youthfulness and the energy by the time. So that way I continue on. But We are under 5 minutes now, so this first Miles Cup, Mustang Cup race of the weekend coming to a close here shortly. It has been dominated. We really haven't mentioned Logan Adams much because he's just been so far out in front. Back at Sebring, we didn't even know he was on the racetrack because we didn't even see him in the TV pictures. That's how far out in front he was. He's kind of done the same thing here today in that number 86 car. Just the fastest lap of the race, continues to turn the fastest laps out of anybody out there on the track right now, has extended that gap up to 10 seconds and is just clicking off the laps. I did notice something pop up a few minutes in race control. Unfortunately, the number 36 of Michael Levitas, after having that incident down there in turn number 11, was going to be responsible for the incident and will have to serve a stop plus 30 seconds penalty next time that car is out on the racetrack.
Next time that car's out on the racetrack. Okay. Well, I mean, it is what it is. And Michael's not really one to argue. He may have known as it was happening, but they were very committed right there. Fourth gear, wide open. That's moving. That's hauling the mail. So, it is what it is. But I'm just happy that both drivers are okay. Everyone's safe. And I'll be even happier knowing both those cars are fixed. I see them back out and keep this field growing, because that's the series manager side of me going right there. Is let's get these cars back out on track. But still out in front, only 20 years of age, the young superstar, Logan Adams, looking really good. Behind him, Kale Buell, another very young competitor, super talented, and just running that Leaf Johnson Ford car like a madman, moving up through the pack and getting himself into second place, not just by class, but overall as well, where he can now see, we're not going to have enough time. Something crazy would have to happen with only 2.5 minutes plus a lap left to go. But I will say right now, in my opinion, is that Kale Buell has sent a message to Logan Adams today. Logan Adams has been very fast, but he's been out there on his own. He hasn't been dealing with any shenanigans. There's been some shenanigans for Kale, and he's handled every bit of it like a champ. And so I think right now, at a bare minimum, Kale Buell is keeping Logan honest. But if we can see them in qualifying for the Parnelli Cup, what's going to be happening later today, qualifying and Parnelli Cup will be taking place tomorrow. We'll see them back out on track again. That'll be happening at 4:15 p.m. Central Time tomorrow, so you're going to want to tune in for that. And if we see these two competitors start side by side, we might really have ourselves quite a battle royale here, because I think that there's been a lot of confidence grown by Kale Buell and that Leaf Johnson Ford team today.
Well, I think Logan Adams heard you, right? Because he went purple sector 1 and said, who's the fastest out here on the racetrack? He put his foot down once again. And a 34.0 that last time by, nearly a second clear of anybody else on that racetrack, is now up to 11 seconds between himself and the closest competitor. I did notice something is that the number 68 might be floundering just a little bit. Remember, that's Craig Capaldi, and he was hanging out in that second place before Kale Buell finally got around him. But ever since, the lap time has dramatically dropped off. He was turning 34s, and now he's turning 37s, nearly 9 seconds behind. So I wonder if Craig is just kind of nursing the 68 to the checkered flag.
It's very possible. He could be nursing the 68 or himself at this point to the checkered flag, and I'm not picking on him. And I would think he's going to laugh about that later on, because we did talk about joking around. But I mean, all in all, let's face it. I mean, he's put in a great race. He's done an excellent job, and he's keeping himself up on top of the podium for his class, which is really all he needs to do. I mean, right now, if he keeps it going for another 16 seconds a lap, it could end up being 2 laps here when the leader comes around. But let's be honest. I mean, right now he's on top of the podium. He's done his job.
Well, and
wow.
Yeah, we are going to get 2 more laps. Logan Adams crossed the line with about 3 seconds remaining. So we're going to have an additional lap plus this one. I know the timer says 000 plus 1 lap, but just ignore that until we finally get that white flag this upcoming time by, because the 86 just barely made it to the stripe that time.
If he didn't have to show off and keep shaving time off his lap time these last few laps, we would have saw the white flag come up. But he kept on digging right to the end, folks. So now we're down to basically a lap and a half or so left to go for our leader. He'll see the white flag the next time by, as the pack's getting a little bit spread out right now. But up on top, it's Logan Adams, Buell, and Capaldi.
You know, I think he actually might have tried a little bit, but trying to tell a race car driver to slow down enough can be a very difficult thing to do. I pointed out because he does have fastest lap of the race at a 33.8, and the last time by was a 35.0, about half a second, maybe 3/4 of a second off of what he typically has been turning. So he might have got the message, hey, you know, if you back it off just a little bit, you can shorten it by a lap, but he didn't back it off enough. He wants to go fast out there.
Well, I'm glad you said that because about an hour ago, just before he came down, I was walking down to the booth to meet up with you, and he was getting ready to go in hospitality in our beautiful hospitality area. And joking around, I kind of hit him in the shoulder. I said, hey, take it easy. I'm out there, kid. And he looked at me and goes, I don't think I can do that. As the white flag is out right now for your leader, number 86, Logan Adams, and the Capaldi Racing Team. White flag's out right behind him, about a straightaway's distance and change, but keeping him honest is the number 8 of Leaf Johnson Ford, Kale Buell. Very, very impressive run for Kale Buell, as I think he is just gaining major, major confidence today. And then in third overall, but first by class, grabbing the white flag for one more lap, is Capaldi, looking really good.
And I was going to point out, because you were the one that was really saying Kale Buell is coming in and putting his foot down. I think he's already been established here in the Mustang Cup paddock, right? He was a winner back in 2025, and of course he's got the entire family behind him as well, so he's got a huge cheering section. So I don't think that he needs to arrive on the scene. He has already been arriving, but what has really interested and piqued my attention is his last couple lap times, 35.0, and he backed it up again with a 35.0, so that's on pace with Logan Adams, our current overall leader. So now we're looking for the number 86 car. He is going to be coming up over the tunnel turn here shortly. He is in sector number 3, going to be rounding out of turn number 14 here in a minute. I believe this is the number 16 of Denton, and here comes the 86 of Logan Adams with just another corner or two remaining. He's going to look up towards that start-finish stand and see a checkered flag here soon enough as the 65 crosses the line. And here comes, I believe this might have been a slow, very, very slow Logan Adams. What is going on here? Kale Buell's going to come and take away this win. The number 8 flag. He steals away the overall victory. The 86 must have ran out of gas. Heartbreak for Logan Adams. Talk about throat moments. Oh my goodness. Kale Buell just stole away the win.
Kale Buell takes the win away. The Capaldi team all on the wall, ready to cheer on Logan Adams. Meanwhile, another one of their team members comes out in the Leaf Johnson Ford vehicle, just stays on the hammer and steals that win away from him. What a finish.